Consciousness, and this is Bart Sharp, and we are on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Oh, I just saw we went live. I'm going to start that all over again. The count.
Hello. That was a fun transition.
Oh, that was a fun. It's always a surprise sometimes with computer programming and not being a computer guy as I am. But this is Bart Sharp, and we are at Becoming Quantum Conscious at United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 and 105.3 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, and worldwide. We are on Roku. If you like to get on cable, just check us out. And actually, we have a guest that's pretty good looking today, so you might want to check him out on Roku. Also, we're on YouTube and Facebook and other platforms. Also on the UPNRN website. And also you can listen to us out of New Orleans if you're in that beautiful city. And today we have Louis Brantmeyer out of Austin, Texas. And I'm just going to start the show by reading a bit of your bio. So Louis Brantmeyer is a serial conscious entrepreneur who coaches in business, dating, relationships, sexuality, and abundance. Louis started in entrepreneurship in 2013, joining the Brain Juice startup team, supporting the mission and product, and becoming a national brand, and then leaving the company to start a series of his own businesses, such as Make Love Easy, Speak Powerfully Now, and Empowering Austin Now. Louis spent nearly a decade learning the art, science, and craft of building and scaling healing, teaching, and coaches practices so that he can unleash the souls stuck in the often chaotic journey of entrepreneurship by shortcutting that process into a series of a few major shifts and steps so that they can be available to give more of themselves and their gifts to the world while living lives they love. Learn more about Louis's relationship and dating coaching here at makeloveeasy.com. So welcome, Louis, to the show. We're really glad to have you on.
Thank you. That was makeloveeasy.co, but no worries.
Yes. Well, you're really, when I've read this bio, it's if there's anything about you that first comes in first impression is how complex you are and entertainingly complex. And I just love it that you bring in the idea that you coach in business, dating, relationships, sexuality, and abundance. And it's daring to say they go together. It's a whole thing. It's a whole slice of the pie, which is what we're going to talk about today in the 5 levels of consciousness of how all of these things go together. But I wanted to start with the question of how does business, dating, relationships, sexuality, and abundance all go together?
Good question. So I like to say here on school to play with earth tools, according to earth rules.
Okay. Can you speak up a little bit more?
Sure.
Great.
So the idea is that there are things you can play with in this incarnation that also can be vehicles for spiritual growth and development, for becoming more conscious. And I started in the world of dating and relating. I grew up a socially awkward, anxious, introverted, diagnosed with autism, science fiction loving nerd.
Let's hear it for the nerds.
For those who can see, yeah, kind of sort of a Star Trek symbol.
Yes.
And I spent years working on myself to be able to just be at the level of other people who I witnessed dating and relating in high school. I was super Catholic, sexually repressed, taboo, and so it's kind of a late bloomer in that aspect. And it's funny because I sort of overshot the mark in terms of gaining a skill to create intimacy, to create sex through authenticity, create relationships, to manifest relationship. And as I grew, my tastes and desires changed from, for example, like polyamory to monogamy, from being more adventuresome to being more contained and focused on sacred sexuality. And then my journey evolved in the direction of like wanting to share these gifts, share these skills, to serve people who had experienced a similar mess to where I started. And I didn't know my butt from the hole in the ground when it came to business in the world of coaching. So I spent years struggling, wrestling, straining, taking eviction notices off my door more than once, just to figure out how to make that business work, and then eventually how to have it thrive abundantly. And lo and behold, by the time I got to the end of that journey, I was inspired to turn around and coach other coaches, other healers, people who want to be a part of the solution on this planet, and who are addicted to personal growth in a good way. And so those two threads kind of came together as well inside of Make Love Easy, which I launched last year along with a book, which we may get to. And yeah, these are just the things that I have loved. They also happen to deal with not the root, but the Svadhisthana chakra, like the energy of abundance, the energy of connection, the energy of play and desire. It's all basically the same and all arises from the same location in our energy, in our chakra. So if someone has a problem with one of these, they're more than likely have a problem with all of them. And as they're working on them, they can begin to unleash themselves in all of them. It's a good question.
It does, because I loved your answer, and it's so much about how you function in that space between your hips, or also known as your second chakra, also known as your sexual center, but also your power, your money, your creativity, intuition, vitality, and also it always is through the expression of our anger as well, that magical spot between our hips, second chakra, as I said. But it sounds like you are doing a ton of work in that area to make all of this happen. So yes, it makes sense that your sexuality and your business sense and playing with that come together, and you are just enthusiastic about all of that. It's part of that vitality. Almost like you're a lion jumping out of the cage.
Yeah, definitely. And part of why I'm here in Costa Rica is to, seek out strange new worlds, go where no man has gone before, to quote my childhood favorite TV show, Star Trek. But even more than that, to unleash my soul from invisible pages that maybe I might not still be seeing, with the help of this amazing community here at the Waking Village. So,
Yeah, it is. It's what's such a fun adventure it is, because your enthusiasm in your business all blend together, and your relationships blend together with all of that. I think the deeper you're in love with yourself and love with other people, there's something with this business sense that makes that happen. And, I also wanted to say to anybody that's on the chat as it's growing, if you have any questions or comments for Lewis or me, but mostly Lewis, um, just send them on our way. We'll be happy to answer them. Or if you just want to say hello. Anyway, it's good stuff. And when I read your 5 levels of consciousness, which I'm assuming you have created these from your wealth of experience.
So the 5 levels of consciousness, I'll say I've added meat to those bones, but the bones were put down by my good friend and brother and colleague, Jonathan England, in his book, If I Die Before I Wake. And I love them because they're the most elegant, robust, powerful, explanatory model for the journey of being alive.
It does. It's very human, practical, and it has a lot of aspects to it. I tried to get just a summary of them, but maybe we ought to just go through the levels one by one, and maybe spend a little bit more time on the last 3. I find those intriguing, but of course, the first level is just as important as the 5th level. So why don't we start there at the first level about what that's all about?
For sure. So the 5 levels of consciousness are states of conscious orientation.
Say that again and speak up a little bit louder.
For sure. The 5 levels of consciousness are states of conscious orientation. And what that means is they are ways of viewing or relating to your life and the world. And there's a sense in which we're in all 5 levels at once, but we're not necessarily aware of each of those levels with precision or specificity. And as we go on a spiritual journey, we'll not only grow into and through each of these levels, but we'll take the lessons and the understanding and the growth from each into the next. So it's sort of like watching a flower unfold or a fruit on a tree. Like, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes attention and cultivation. So even if someone understands these levels of consciousness, they're not necessarily going to understand, because experience is required, practice is required. So while I can give you the map, I can only show you the door. I can't walk through it for you. But I can offer tools to support you in accessing and activating the full potential in this world of the 5 levels. It's a big part of why I'm here on the planet, is to serve humanity in that way. So
yes,
jumping right in, the first level is where all humanity finds itself. Disoriented. No clear direction or compass point for guidance. And this is a state of thinking that happiness comes from making your life conditions equal your blueprint. So
say that again.
Sure.
That's a big concept.
Yeah. And this goes through the first 3 levels. So I'm glad you're digging for it. The idea in level 1 and level 2 really is that happiness is the result of making your life conditions equal your blueprint. And at level 1, there's a felt sense that there's no hope in having any impact on those life conditions.
So what you're saying is that you really had to find your a plan or an idea or something that you love, and as you grow in your enthusiasm, your happiness will go, and they're both equally important. You can't go into something without passion, and really think that that's going to give you a lot of personal growth.
Yeah, so the equation for happiness is just the belief of level one. It's not necessarily the truth and not necessarily the best recipe. Because in level one, the belief again is, okay, well, my blueprint, what preachers, teachers, family, friends, media, government have taught me the way that things should be. I have to make my life fit that. And if I do that, I'll be happy. But as we look around, we realize it doesn't work. You could spend your whole life living out a blueprint that was built by someone else and wasn't built by you or for you. And that's the problem with level one and level two, is in level one, people experience powerlessness. They're stuck in the past. They're usually in depression because they can't change, and they can't change what happened, and they can't change what's happening. So they're looking for a magic pill. And often, this is where people experience health challenges, where, woe is me, my body has a problem, and I am the victim of my body. When in fact, the body lives in the mind, not the mind in the body. And we are as we perceive ourselves to be. And often the ego gets its fangs into our soul through us manifesting certain conditions that we then use as an excuse for not pursuing our purpose or our prosperity or surrendering to our dharma, to what we're meant to do on this planet. So there's a lot to level one, and it's subtler than initially seemed. Any questions? I know that we're kind of digging pretty deep here.
Well, I think it's a great theory with that, in that, we had to find what's authentically our heart's desire.
Yes.
And not follow what we think other people want us to do, or a plan has worked for somebody else and therefore we should do it. In fact, I think we drop into the matrix of human conditioning when we do that, and a lot of people fall into that. They stay in the lower realms because they're trying to be like everybody else. They're not trying to find out who they are.
Yep.
And what, the word that keeps showing up is personal creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that for people? It just gets deeper and deeper. And the ego always wants us to kind of always see the ego confronting us, that it brings these issues up and sometimes embarrasses us and guides us to behaviors that are not becoming, but I think it's kind of like a sabotage. It wants us to make mistakes, so maybe we'll pay attention.
Yeah, and there's a whole conversation to be had, a tangent that I'll just point to, which is that when we get health challenges, when we manifest a sty in the eye or cancer, which in conscious language is I can't serve, cancel clear. I want that in my reality. But that is what's going on. Is the body is desperately trying to serve as a mouthpiece for the soul, saying, "Hey, look over here. Let go of this. Embrace this part of you."
Yeah.
So it's all according to plan.
It is, and if you're going to start making compromises in your life, it's better. It's also important and I say this because I was a school teacher and a family man when I was younger, and it demanded a lot of my time, and my spirit was waning and getting smaller. But I loved my family, I loved my wife, I loved my job, but it wasn't enough. And I had to find that little slice of life that I truly enjoyed.
Mhm.
And that's what I lived by.
Which is a perfect bridge into level 2.
Cool.
So level 2 is, instead of the toxic feminine that is acting powerless and hopeless, it's the activation of the divine masculine. It's, I'm going to do it, that's it, period. It's the idea of goal orientation, that there's power we have to change our life conditions, and that there's gold at the end of the rainbow if we do. And this is important. There's lessons to be learned here. There's faculties to be activated. And this is the level of a lot of entrepreneurs. They're like, I'm going to create something, and I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Now, the problem with level 2 is that it's okay to have things, just don't let things have you. And most often,
Would you say that again? That's a great quote.
absolutely,
About having.
yeah, it's okay to have things, just don't let things have you.
Hmm.
So we're largely still operating based on unconscious blueprint programming at level 2. We think, if I get another house, another car, another whatever, I'll be happy someday, maybe, if only I work harder and create what I think I need, or what I think I desire, or what I want. And it's great to flex this muscle. It's great to expand. We are here on this planet to create lives that we love. And if we are not going to the highest heights and the deepest depths of what's available as we do so, then we're going to think the point is to get this thing, or to make this business work, or to have this relationship materialize. And, you know, I've been through that. I was in a suicidal depression in 2014 because I put all of my self-worth and value and the value of life, pinned it all on wanting success in relationships and sexuality, and intimacy and dating. And I hit this period of intense failure after failure. It's one thing to be a man and never have success. It's another thing to have lots of success and then run into a period where you're failing and you can't understand why. So it was like running 4 feet into a brick wall. And it was just like defeated.
Yeah, yeah. But you knew how to get it, so you had the vibration already inside you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. And I also had the pathway out, like the escape route. So level 3 was already in the seeds had already been.
Can I add one thing in here?
Absolutely.
For those in the audience that would like to have a big dream happen, and they may have the skill set to do it, but they've never had any experience with it, and maybe their parents don't even have experience with that. So therefore, they really don't have an internal roadmap to guide them. And it's really important to be around people that do have it, so you can energetically learn what they have.
If you don't have a circle that inspires you, what you have is a cage. And so what you desire, surround yourself with people who have it. And then you can rise as the tide lifts all boats. And I want to let Ed appreciate your comments, Nick. When you talk about the collective, and the collective is mostly happy, like,
Yes, let's bring this up. I want to acknowledge this
sure,
because Ed Odell just has a great line here that he's on the chat. He says, it's like we're on the verge of a full conscious collective. However, the majority do not connect with their happiness in their lives. So therefore, we can't move forward. I would agree with that, except for the we can't move forward. I think we can move forward. But that's a great comment, Ed. Thank you. And any response to you have to it, Lewis?
for sure. So I honestly don't think the majority of people are happy. I think the majority of people are living out programs and are stuck in apathy and trauma that is not seen, not heard, not felt. Life is a journey from the head through the emotion to the heart. And that journey can be extremely painful because we have to feel things we've maybe never felt in this lifetime. We're not here to feel happy. We're here to feel fully. Once we feel fully, then we get to feel happier than we've ever felt. And I see that that's resonating, Ed. Beautiful.
And that's a great way to get out of the programming. Is that correct?
Yes. Because often the programming is entangled with the trauma. And we can't see it until we address the trauma.
Indeed. And it's always good to look at the trauma and feel it and go into that introspection about what our trauma is as well. So you can really see it for what it is with that. Because it's all inside of us. I mean, you said this earlier in a way, and I never got to comment that all 5 steps of consciousness are inside of you already, which brings on the assumption, in my point of view, that we have an infinite consciousness within us already, but our mind does not know how to access it.
Yes. And this is the pathway. These are the steps, really. And it's funny, you're talking about addressing the trauma. Just another perfect dovetail, because the way to get into level 3 from level 2 is to burn the blueprint completely and to address the trauma. So happiness is an inside job.
Yes.
You have the ability to choose to appreciate, be grateful for, or to love whatever is happening in your life as it is now and also as it is next, without having to compare it to some blueprint, to some future. We're on a journey, and we're meant to experience every moment in that journey, and every moment is perfect. All things work for good for those who believe.
And you're on this journey as well. I'll ask you a really abstract question.
Sure.
Might be one of the most difficult for some people to answer. Ready for that drum beat? What does it feel like to be in that state where you drop your brew plant and you step forward into this heart-centered world?
It's another great question. Early on, when I was very attached to my ego and the fruits of the labors, of the skills that I built through my ego, it was scary. Because there was uncertainty about, like, well, if I'm not all of that, then who am I? And there was also, so these are different angles as I leaned into this space and consciousness inside of me, as I started to live from here. There was also just pure, unbridled inspiration, freedom, and enthusiasm. Because as they teach in the landmark program, life is empty and meaningless. But it's empty and meaningless that it's empty and meaningless. So we have a beautiful, vast, empty space to invent and create whatever possibilities we desire. And this is the quintessential expression of level 3. It's just consciousness in the world, creating freely, with no constraint, and also with no guidance, which is why there are other levels. So we'll get to those. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was a really good answer. Thank you so much. And I just want to say that we are on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UPNRN, at 107.7 and 105.3. And we're on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, and on the UPRN internet site. And you can catch us in a variety of ways. My name is Bart Sharp. This is Becoming Quantum Consciousness. I'm also the author of my latest book, Magic Speaks. And our guest today, Louis Brantmeyer, is also an author. That's not coming out right. And I love these titles. Make Love Easy, the top 10 secrets of being conscious and fulfilled in relationship. This is really cool. And the second one, the treasury of souls touching, a hurricane, a pandemic, and a stolen car. It's me curious already. And you can find his work at louisbrantmeyer.com or lovemadeeasy.com. Let's go back. I would love to talk about Love Made Easy, the top 10 secrets of being conscious and fulfilled in relationship. Maybe that's another time for another show. That's too juicy. However, we are on step 3 of the 5 levels of consciousness. And anything else you would like to add in there?
For sure. And we see your comment, Ed. I'll be there in a moment.
Yes, I'm reading this comment by Ed. I'm going to just say it out. Air, neurons, and nervous system at this point, we take it as a shock syndrome in our system. No, a shock syndrome into our system. It's like an overloading system we have gradually built, and it can't just shove it or input directly without a system shock. It's kind of like when you get scared, how your body reacts to our self-defense systems to keep us from dying because our systems shut down. The body does not understand. The mind is unable to calculate the situation. So it has to be a greater input of information. Do you have any responses to that? I have one, but you go first.
So yeah, this is a perfect expression of the evolution between level 2 and level 3. In level 2, we identify with the ego, and the ego often finds itself threatened by the truth and the awareness that everything that it considered so significant, including itself, including the stories that it told itself, are actually a lie, are actually made up, are actually releasable and tradable and upgradable for higher possibilities. So I've definitely had this experience and witnessed many times with my coaching clients, in workshops and events, where the ego fights and struggles to be right and to survive, even at the just damage of what the person with the ego says they care about. They'd rather be right than happy, or right than successful, or right than surrender to an experience of bliss until resistance is released, until the ego is popped like a zip or a ball.
Pop that ego. Yeah, I always think of the ego as, or our defense system, as a driving mechanism to overcome a deeper trauma, like something in our childhood. And maybe our inner child felt very lonely, for example, and sad that our father did not pay attention to us. So therefore our ego goes into being a high achiever, and it's running out of fear and maybe anger at our dad for not paying attention to us. But we're always driven and we're driving, and we hate that feeling of always having to be somebody who has to be that great accomplisher. It's very, it just drains your energy, and it's not fun and enjoyable. But we have to come to terms with what started the pain and what started the defensive system. And we seem to have a tendency to connect and be energized with people with the same vibration as us.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the matrix. So getting rid of that ego, or coming to terms with their wounds to where that ego gets to relax and not push forward, actually brings us back into center and not into the matrix system.
Mm-hmm.
Of emotions.
So just what you're pointing to, coming back to center and then allowing up what is there, like being with who we truly are, and maybe who we resisted being, like in the example, having to accomplish something in order to win Dad's approval. Well, that's kind of what I heard. Mm-hmm. And you're so welcome, Ed. Great to have you here.
Yes. Thanks, Ed. And so this is all about level 3, is learning to disconnect from these systems. Mm-hmm. And when you say something in your notes you sent to me that I think applies to this, journey-oriented instead of goal-oriented. And the journey really means a lot of things, whereas goal-oriented is very linear. But journey-oriented, what does that mean to you?
So have you ever gone to a movie but only watched the final scene?
Now, what was the movie again?
Any movie.
Okay.
Have you ever gone to a movie just to see the final scene?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're an exception. Generally, when people go to see the movie, they're there to see the beginning, the middle, and then the end, and sometimes the cutscene after the credit. So that's what life is. It's all designed as a symphony of synchronicity and serendipity, leading us to evolution and to growth and to healing and to contribution, if we allow it to be. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity, if you believe that.
Yes.
In your consciousness.
Indeed.
And so the journey isn't just about embalming yourself in euphoria, because one simple way to get into level 3 is to ask, is to literally fill in the blank at the end of this sentence. I'm choosing not to be happy because, and then you fill in the blank. So there's any number of reasons that I could put in there. My partner is 1,000 miles away, or I didn't sleep the way that I wanted to, or I have a new unexpected pimple. But the moment you realize you're filling in the blank is when you could choose differently. You could choose to see things differently and appreciate what is, and choose to be happy because you're alive. You have at least one functioning eye, or a brain, or a pinky finger, or whatever reason. Like, it could be something super silly like those.
Yeah, I think it really is a great programming tool, because usually when we do not announce what is troubling us or what we're running away from or what we're running towards as a device to escape from, the unconscious takes over and it starts moving our energy. It starts moving us in places and it starts stimulating emotions, and the ego comes in and sabotages things.
Exactly. Which is why it's such an important key to feel our feelings and to move into and through those pockets inside of us that we practice stuff. Because we go where we live emotionally and we use our environment to get us there. And the people in it too.
Yes.
It's like Carl Jung said, until we make these unconscious choices, the outer world will rule our lives. And we'll call it fate.
Yes. And that's also about making our own identity and how the world perceives us or how we believe the world perceives us. And that's not what our identity is. It's something very internal that we have to learn how to comprehend and perceive. How many people really know what their heart's desire is and what's going on in their gut and what troubles them, and most importantly, what they want to really do?
Totally. And in every life of every soul on this planet, there's a journey required. In
Yes.
fact, we could see level 1 and 2 as the attempt to project the ideal self to the world, who you think you need to be in order to be loved and okay. And then level 3 is when you get into the real self, which you're truly feeling, who's underneath the mask. And then level 4 and 5, which we're about to get to, is the true self, the divine child of God, expressing the gifts of your soul on the planet, where you begin to get guided to contribute to the world and surrender into your intuition and your soul's purpose. So that was a little bit of a teaser trailer for levels 4 and 5. And I see we have somebody from Pakistan asking for a work permit. No worries.
We wish you the best, Tyre, finding that. I don't know how I can help you, but we just open our hearts up to you and give you best wishes. Good luck.
Voting massive victory.
Which is another part of what you're saying, as that journey, you always have you have a choice to decide how you want to respond to everybody around you. Do you go in a preconceived notion, or do you follow your heart?
So this is where it gets really exciting for me. Because I live, to the best of my ability, in levels 4 and 5.
Yeah, keep your voice up.
Sure. So I live to the best of my ability, especially with the help of my community and my training, in levels 4 and 5. So once you see the truth that happiness is an inside job, we're all one and everything's perfect, love is the only thing that's real and it's always available. It's another way of expressing level 3. Then you start to notice people around you who don't quite share that consciousness, or they maybe haven't activated it yet. You see, we are, as we look out into the world, seeing kids in cages. And each soul, at some point in its life, in this incarnation, has put the kid that they were in a cage out of fear to protect themselves from the pain and the trauma that's going on there.
Yes.
So we're all locked in a cage, but it's actually, the door is unlocked. You can open the cage from the inside. We have to be reminded, we have to remember, as in plug back into that awareness. And once we do, naturally what comes through is an overflow of the love that we are into the world. Love.
That sounds like a peak experience right
Yep.
there. There's an overflow of the love we are almost like a crossover point.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like that you had a crossover point? Was it one specific incident, or was it something in general that happened?
So this is a great question, because each level can be sort of like a rung on a ladder. You may have your hand on it, but you may not be fully embodied as it yet.
Mm.
And for me, getting to level 4 was a natural consequence of being level 3 and experiencing empathy. Like, what? This is what's really going on? I want the whole world to have it. So it was like a spike. And then I shift back into level 3, and then I shift back into level 2, and like it's a dance.
Yes. You go to 2, you go to 3, and sometimes you get to those peaks of 4. But the more you stay in those peaks of 4, it becomes more of a permanent fixture.
Exactly. So if you can surround yourself with people who are at level 4 or level 5, it'll be easier for you to maintain there. Because it's not natural for most people on the planet to be at these levels of consciousness. It is in our nature. It's our birthright, but not everyone has accessed it or activated it. So level 4, it for me is a big theme of these past few years, being oriented towards adding value and being a contribution, not giving to get from the point of view of an ego trying to make something happen or that thinks it needs something from the outside world, but giving because it's who I am. And somewhere in level 4, you start to realize you can't see the part you're meant to play in the movie when you're inside of it. You can't see the part you are in the picture while you're inside of it. What's required to be the maximum gift that you are, the fullest contribution that you can be, is to start listening and surrendering to intuition, the voice of love, the voice of God in the soul. And that's level 5. And it'll look sometimes crazy, being told to do things that make no sense to your rational mind.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask you a question. This is great stuff. And I think there's so many people that are starting to bounce up to this level. Mm-hmm. I see it out there more than I've ever seen it in the last 20 years, but people are jumping up, and it's particularly the last couple of years. And I wanted to ask you, how does this reflect in your own business as well as your intimate relationship? I know you have a sweetheart. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Can you share some of those things? Because I think it's good to hear the stories.
Yeah. So in my business, from inspiration, about 9 weeks ago, a dear friend of mine and I co-created the Money Magic Alignment course.
Say that again. What was the name of that?
The Money Magic Alignment course.
Okay.
And it was a free beta test for about 20 people. And my business friend, my level 2 brain was like, what are we doing? We're giving away everything for free. We're giving our best stuff. And my heart, God, the love in my soul, was just overflowing with joy and enthusiasm and watching breakthroughs happen left and right. Manifest 30 grand in a single month, or a new client about people. And it was just exactly what was meant to happen. So there's my business. On the macro level as well, it looks like I plan to spend 30 days in Costa Rica, but I tuned into my heart, and my heart was saying, stay for longer. There's more to accomplish here. So I surrendered into it. And with my partner back in Austin, it actually initially inspired sadness, grief, like, oh, I have to wait much longer to see him. But because she's trained to move through what comes up for her, through that level 3 sort of dance, my choice to do what love told me to do allowed her to step into her highest expression through healing things that came up for her.
Wow. How did that feel for you when she jumped?
It feels great. I love being the vehicle for love expanding in the world.
Yeah. And I just want, we have about 5 more minutes for the show. I want to make a comment and then get into level 5. When you have these big adventurous expansions in your heart, it's undefinable, and we do not know how. But in your opinion, do you think it will change everything about your business?
So if you had asked me that question,
okay, you just shorted out, but you're back again.
All right, and I got your question. I think it will, and I think it has. I mean, the places I've been guided into in the past couple months, I didn't necessarily expect. And so that's part of the course on the journey going forward, is God will source, infinite intelligence will guide me into wherever I'm most supposed to be for the highest good of all. So as long as I don't fall asleep at the wheel of the ego and I keep surrendering, which on the micro level, what it looks like for me to stay and practice in level 5 is to literally put my hand in my heart, close my eyes, breathe in, shut up, and listen for what is wanting to come through, or what is meant to be in my speaking, in my action. Wow. Sometimes I also muscle test, which is a good tool for getting specific answers to things. Like, is this for me, or is this food good for me? That kind of thing. And there's a whole world of how to get into level 5. Most people need to work on level 3 first, because you can't give to God what you don't have. And most people don't even have level 2. Level 2 has them.
Yes. So can you give us a summary of what level 5 is all about?
Sure. So level 5 is soul oriented. Level 5 is a willingness to surrender all that we've become and all that we are into Dharma and divine purpose, and to be along for the ride as a vehicle and a vessel for love. And there's many amazing stories of this. John's book is a really great illustration. If I die before I wake, where this distinction comes from. And then we're also having September 9th and 10th, Awaken Life Live, a 2-day free event on Zoom, where you can come step into all 5 of these levels with more power and abundance and ease. It's a free gift.
Yes.
AwakenLiveEvent.com.
And where can they find that?
AwakenLiveEvent.com. All lowercase, no spaces.
Okay, awakenlive.com. Is that right?
AwakenLiveEvent.com.
Okay. I don't have that on my list.
Don't worry. It's what my inspiration is sharing right now. I'll make sure.
But they could also go to Brantmeyer.com and find their way to that site as well. Is that
sure?
Okay. So that's a path. And we're running out of time, sadly enough. If there's just a little soundbite, like a 30-second soundbite you want to tell everybody, what would that be?
Oh, man.
That's a tough one. I know you can do it.
Allow your power, your love, your freedom, your soul to guide your life, and magnificent miracles of abundance and joy and contribution will flow through you.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So Louis Brantmeyer, just Google him up, go to louisbrantmeyer.com, and you can start to learn on how to do it. And it's always good to have mentors to have experienced and crossed over to find these things and to plug into them, to learn from their actual experiences and what they have to offer. He's a very fearless entrepreneur on so many different levels. And Louis, I'm really glad to have you at United Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio on Roku, YouTube, and Facebook, and other platforms all across the world. Thank you for so much for being here today. It was really awesome having you here. And my name is Bart Sharp. My website is bartsharp.com. Check out my book, Magic Speaks, all about magic in this reality. We're kind of cousins in some of the stuff we do, for sure. And thank you so much for being on the show today, Louis. We offer you many blessings. And everybody that came, we just wanted to thank you. And thank you, Ed, for all the great comments you gave. And until next week at Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will see you then, and wish everybody the best. Bye-bye.